Hi there. This is one more discussion under the set of podcast prepared by talkers. We will discuss about the European Union orientation of the island, but this discussion, as you understand, it will be a different one in compare with the others. We are going to speak with a very nice Turkish Cypriot lady, a very close friend of mine, Mελτεμ Ονουρκαν Σαμανι. Hi, Mελτεμ.
Hi, Kyriakos.
Welcome to our studio.
Thank you for inviting.
In this set of episodes we have in this program, we have never invited a Turkish Cypriot, and we do believe that we have to listen also to your voice.
Okay.
It's a discussion conducted in the framework of a European project, co-funded by the European Union in the framework of the coming European elections. And it's a very good opportunity for us to discuss about the situation among the Turkish Cypriot community. And we do believe that we have a very strong voice coming from the Turkish Cypriot community with your presence. We know that you serve as a coordinator of the technical committees during Akindji's leadership, when he was the Turkish Cypriot leader. And you have valuable experiences of that period, great expectations, and very deep disappointments. That's the story of the Cyprus problem, actually. A story of opportunities, missing opportunities, and disappointments. What are your feelings after so many years of failures, Mελτεμ?
Well, you eloquently put, in fact, especially the pro-solution people's feelings from both sides. There's disappointments, frustrations, certain periods, high hopes, and feeling of being there almost, and this time the perception that it's possible that we will make it, but again faced with another frustration. Let me share with you an anecdote from Krand Mondana.
You were there?
I was there. I was a special advisor to the former Turkish Cypriot leader, then President Mr. Akıncı, on political affairs and also education and history. And I was coordinating not only the bicommunal technical committees, but also the working groups under the negotiations. So I had a good command on. I have read all the minutes, I have seen all the correspondences, documents so far have reached, convergences whatsoever. I mentioned this just to let you know that the frustration personally is higher than the ordinary people, because I have seen that it's possible and we were almost there. Sincerely, I was believing, and we were very hopeful when we arrived to Krand Mondana. And my anecdote is from the last dinner meeting that the delegations of all stakeholders were in at the highest level, the leaders and their chief negotiators was in there, and we were out of the dinner room, but still in the building, and waiting the delegations to come out. Well,
and announce the good news. And
announce the good news, maybe. But it didn't take long, my optimism, because while I was having my dinner together with Ms. Akıncı, Meral Akıncı, suddenly Ms. Andrea Anastasiadis approached to us. We had good relationship with Andrea Anastasiadis, and as we said, we invited her come and join us to our table, and she said that, have you packed?
Have you packed?
And, yeah,
have you
packed
prepared your
bag?
things?
Yeah, baggages and luggages. Have you packed? And we surprised. And I was like, Meral Hanım, maybe ask why should we pack our luggages, etc. And she told us that she was told to prepare it, and in the morning they will leave. And this was a signal for me, not very positive
A negative
signal,
signal.
a negative signal.
You received it as a negative signal.
That the Greek Cypriot leadership are prepared to leave.
To leave.
While we were preparing to start after the dinner, they were prepared to leave. But still I was hopeful. I immediately called Barış Burcu. I told him as well. He was like, but still, you know that you are the same character with me, although we are also realistic persons, but still we prefer to keep our optimism. And I was telling myself that maybe Mr. Akıncı, he is a very influential orator as well. He will give a very effective and influential persuasive speech in there, and everybody else will be persuaded.
You were still believing that something, a miracle might happen and will happen.
Exactly.
This was not the case because after Krand Mondana, at the first, we all accept the fact that a historic opportunity was missed, as described by UN Secretary General. And I think both sides have admitted that they were so near as never before. Yeah. That's fact. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Secondly,
but I didn't finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
The anecdote continues.
Anecdote, yeah, just started. After long hours, it was like ages for us, the door opened up and the delegation started to come out one by one. And I was in the very front waiting to see Mr. Akıncı. And I don't remember which delegation come first and the second, whatever, but I clearly remember the delegation of Turkey came out, and I got eye contact with Mr. Çavuşoğlu, and Mr. Çavuşoğlu was like, it was not us sort of body language sort of thing, but he was released. He wasn't look very upset or whatsoever. And after all the delegations one by one came out, except Mr. Akıncı. I haven't seen Mr. Akıncı. I haven't seen Mr. Nami. And the door was closed. And I dared to go there to knock the door and then open it. And I have seen this, dear Kyrgiakos, empty meeting room. And Mr. Akıncı was still sitting there alone. And it was a traumatic scenery for me. He was like representing the pro-solution federalist Cypriots in there, sitting on this table alone.
The loneliness.
The
loneliness of those who wanted to strike a compromise and the others who rushed to leave.
And I approached to him and sat close to him, and I even touched to him and asked, "Are you okay, my president, başkanım, iyi misin?" And he was like, "Where are the people? We are really losing another great opportunity for the Cypriots." And this conversation made me to think that we need to involve the people and civil society to these processes. It shouldn't be left only to the leaders because you need two leaderships, and leaders are at the end politicians, and they need the support coming from the civil society or a pressure, I don't know, in there. This was a lesson learned by me from Krand Mondana.
Mελτέμ, we have a lot of people witnessing the very disappointing moment of the collapse of the talks in Krand Mondana. And there was much discussion of what happened, but the outcome, which is what we feel today after 7 years, is that we have a complete and absolute deadlock. And while we are counting in 2024 several anniversaries, we have a lot. We have 60 years after the first intercommunal fight, the bloody events of 63, 64. We have the deployment of ANFISIP, 64. We have the Cyprus tragedy in 74, coup d'etat, then the intervention of Turkey, the military intervention, then the expansion of the occupation of the half of the island. Then all these decades pass through the eyes of, I think, 3-4 generations of Cypriots. And we are still here and with no clear prospect of what is going to happen. Well, I mean, you said we need to think differently and address differently the divisions of the island. How?
Yes, Kyrιακos, this 60th anniversary of the ANFISIP here from 1964, in fact, is a constant reminder that the political problem, there was a political problem. That's why UN peacekeeping forces have arrived to Cyprus, isn't it? And from that moment onwards, they kept calling to the parties, to the leaders, to come to the negotiation table and figure out whatever the political problems. At that time, I wasn't born. Maybe you was not born there then. So it was this constitutional issues, some political issues that maybe we are still there. That as Cypriots, as Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots, we failed. And here, maybe a different approach should be applied by the ordinary lay people as well and the civil society and receive some responsibility and not to put all the responsibility only on the leaders. Okay, it was a leader-led processes that we have faced from that onwards, and there were external factors that maybe they were sometimes the real decision makers, whatever. But this doesn't change the reality that we need to come into terms. And the reality is that at the communal, intercommunal basis, people failed to address the real issues, which was the political issue.
Mελτέμ, you speak a lot about the responsibility of leaders and the need to assume the responsibility of as citizens, as I understand.
Yes, exactly.
It's because of your background. Tell us more about your background. We know that you are very close to Akindji. You were in the, let's say, in the front line of the discussions, both in the technical committees, in the political discussions of the groups, etc. But who is really Mελτέμ as a person?
Yes. Well, I am a historian in profession, so no surprise that my expertise and in the interest was the history of Cyprus, political and social history of Cyprus, with a special emphasis on the role of history, which was negative in the peace processes, and the negative role of the education in general. So throughout my career, I tried to understand the Cyprus problem under the context of a bigger picture, and also reflect this to the textbooks as well. On
Because
this as well, we failed to do anything in joint, but as a
there
civil
was
society.
an agreement between Anastasiadis and Akindji to work out with the Technical Committee on Education and produce some specific outcomes. And it's very miserable to admit after so many years, not only 60 years of the, not only the last 7 years of the absolute deadlock, the fact that for 60 years and even more, the communities are lacking of having a good understanding of history, not from one side reading. Mm-hmm. You are the specialist. I know you are a teacher, but I know that there was an agreement which has never been implemented, that teachers have to sit together, discuss these issues, address and implement standards on how to teach, how to address the needs of the new generation. I don't think that we are moving in the right direction.
In fact, there was a great progress during Mr. Akıncı and Mr. Anastasiadis because, I can take it from when I was appointed as the political advisor, special advisor to Mr. Akıncı on political affairs and history, just to remind you. I was the co-chair of the Association for Historical Dialogue and Research and Home for Cooperation.
The groups of Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots working together.
So I was one of those who, from the opening of the crossings onwards, who engaged with the Greek Cypriot colleagues and educationalists and historians and teachers and academics all together to challenge the one-sided approach of the grand narrative approach, that we had two grand narratives which excluded the other side, quote unquote, etc. So when I was appointed and also was assigned to coordinate the technical committees, from the first day onwards, we have tried with the colleagues as well among there, we have tried to persuade the leaders to establish another technical committee. My wish was another technical committee on history education. Mm-hmm. But history was too sensitive.
Too sensitive, but...
Especially from the Greek Cypriots, for the Greek Cypriot side at the time. I mean, at the Mr. Akıncı time. And so, I would like to remind you that there were protests against the declaration of the TRNC in the south, and they were the high school and secondary school students, Greek Cypriot students,
going out in the streets.
Yes, going out the streets and throwing stones to the cars and people that they thought they were Turkish Cypriots randomly. And this negative event produced a positive outcome, and both leaders agreed to establish a technical committee on education to address these enmities and demonization of each side and this culture of violence around the schools, etc. And I remember Mr. Akıncı asked me to chair the educational committee, and I was a co-chair together with dear Mihalinos Sembilas.
The professor of the University of Cyprus.
Yes, and we were doing very well, in fact. Okay, again, I should admit that what we aim to do was more than what we have done. Maximum, we managed to draft the project of the Imagine project, which was not on history education or whatsoever, but it's at least on a peace education.
It's bringing people, teachers from both sides together and
but
students.
What is important was not bringing together students and the people, because as civil society we were trying to do this with the unions. But what is important with the educational committee, it was that through the educational authorities, okay, they don't recognize each other as ministries, but as educational authorities of both sides, they were in, and they were sending the circular to all schools and headmasters that they are allowed to apply on behalf of their students or classrooms, or that their teachers can apply for the Imagine program. And they first receive monocommunally this peace education program. And after receiving this monocommunal preparatory peace education program, they were coming together at the Home for Cooperation. Yeah. Even they cross the other side, and the students and the teachers, etc. And it was for some, it was
exchanges,
and it was island-wide. It was not only Nicosian people. It was an important progress that unfortunately has stopped by the Turkish
there is
Cypriot
much
side.
work already done in several levels.
Yes.
The problem is that we don't have the backing of leaders, and when there is a deadlock, things are going on the wrong direction. This is the situation we have for 7 years, and it has become very harsh during the last 3-4 years, especially when we have also when Akindji was in a way sidelined from the Turkish Cypriot leadership. But I would say that the idea of working together with the civil society might produce some changes, but again it requires the leaderships to stand in the front line and move on. And that's why the UN is very reluctant to initiate any other process. We have a very bad atmosphere in the island. Although we have all these crossings and the opportunity to work together under maybe an umbrella of the European Union, we lack cooperation, we have a lot of mistrust, and we have a lot of rhetoric, unfortunately. And I don't know, how can the civil society work in this atmosphere?
Yes, that's why this time should be different, that I am saying, dear Kyriakos. We need to challenge the solely leader-led processes and to find ways and means to make the process more transparent, first of all, because everything was confidential. Although there were leakages, you are journalists and you know better than me, especially again from the Greek Cypriot media, there were a lot of leakages. But since these were leakages, it could easily be challenged, and they were telling that these are lies, don't believe this. It's not, because there was no transparency, and this creates the room for manipulation for the people and misconception and a lot of confusion. Remember how many misconceptions and which creates confusion after Krant Mondana about what happened in this room, in real, and even still sometimes. And it takes a while until the people come and start confess and trying to tell the things.
Instead of trying to admit something, it's better to do to prove the opposite. If you don't like the fact that we destroy the latest efforts, the most promising one, I have to admit, after 2004, the most promising effort with the full support of the UN and the European Union was the Krant Mondana. But from the fact that now we are in a complete vacuum, I would say, who is going to create the framework in order to allow people to engage to each other and create the dynamism we are searching Either it is related to teachers or even journalists. We have to admit that we are part of the acquisition as well. As well as the other parts of the society. We don't have business people getting together. We don't have doctors getting together. We don't have football players playing football anymore. I mean, something is going to the wrong direction. I don't know who is going to change it. Do we need the support of the European Union, for example?
In order to get that stage to demand the support of the European Union, because they need to take the responsibility as well, and they have enormous bit that they can do, or from the UN and from the other international stakeholders, let me say. First of all, we as Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots, maybe starting from the higher level, senior level, retired politicians maybe, who have good command on about the convergences, about the strategic framework agreement, that it is already there, about that there are some other serious issues that we need to address, like informing and educating the people about this federalism, about this BBF. There is a lack of information, especially again among the Greek Cypriot community. I am
the
telling
Turkish
this
Cypriots
because
are more active.
in the Turkish Cypriot community, we have faced such a process during the Annan Plan period. It was a widely, during the Annan Plan period, okay, the leadership was was not in favor of the plan, but there were alternative leaderships in there. I mean, the political party leaderships, academics, muhtars, young people, doctors, journalists, that they take the floor and they take the initiative and they go out to the media, they go out to the streets and they start to talk and explain and at least provide the community the information about the other side of the medal. That I was younger, much younger at that period, a young academic who just started to her career.
I remember you were a professor in Lefka University.
Yes, bravo. Yes, I was there, and I remember that even they were taking me, these leaderships. Again, there was this peace and democracy movement that Mr. Akıncı was heading, that we were going to village in the Morphu region. My family is living in Morphu region because we are from Paphos.
You are originally from Paphos?
Yes, from Paphos.
Most of the Paphians moved to Morphu area?
Yes, not all of them, but most of them. And I remember that my mother was asking me, oh my God, are you sure that you are going to door and village to village and tell people that we need to be refugees for the third time? He said, how can you have this courage to say? And I was like, Mother, okay, you will suffer once more, but it would be better. We have to give back, etc. I remember that there were some alternative narratives in there.
And hesitations.
Some circles and leaderships coming from people who are mentioning about the risks of the continuation of the status quo, who are mentioning about the benefits of having a peaceful agreement, who are mentioning that even the worst agreement would be better than any status quo or war.
And we spent 20 years more without explaining to people.
And these were on the streets, but I think now it is proved that it shouldn't be monocommunal. It should be bicommunally the same campaign in all islands. Because now, when you see after the 2020 elections and after Krand Mondana, Berlin, whatever, I mean after the last failure, Turkish Cypriot civil society, they are not on the streets anymore. They have lost their trust and confidence to the process, and also they come closer to the hardliners on the argument that the majorities of the Greek Cypriot community are not
willing to move on.
They would never accept BBF. It's just a lip service that they were saying that they want BBF. And for this reason, they prefer to take step back, and they pulled out.
Mελτέμ, it's a matter of mistrust, but a matter of reliability as well. We need to have reliable people standing in front and explain and speak frankly to people that what they mean, how they mean to implement it, because it's not just a story of saying that I support bi-zonal, bi-communal federation in the framework of the UN resolutions based on the political equality. You need some more, and I think UN is very clear on that we need much more. You said that the EU, the European Union, has to take also the responsibility. What are you expecting from the European Union?
Okay, I'm coming there, but taking all these experiences, we initiated another peace center, let's say, to address all these issues that we have just mentioned, and then have a common ground among the civil society first.
Bi-communal or monocommunal?
Bi-communal.
With veterans and those people who are involved?
Yes. I have initiated, after all, because there were two choices. One, to quit myself as well and go to home, like the most of the Turkish Cypriots have done currently, after all. The second, to continue to test these perceptions, whether they are misperception or not, because we needed to see that there are considerable number of Greek Cypriot segments of society, that they mean business regarding to reach out a settlement, this bi-zonal, bi-communal federation, and if not, to discuss what instead of, because we need to respect. And I approached first to the vehemently pro-solution Greek Cypriots who were the members of the negotiation teams, former ministers, former foreign ministers. Sometimes we met with the current ones as well. We have started with them to come together to go over all the convergences and the resolutions, joint and shared understandings, etc., to see that
if there is an alternative,
we agree on this or not, first of all. And again, you will remember that the ultimate aim in Krand Mondana was to sign a strategic framework agreement. And even after Krand Mondana, Mr. Akıncı proposed to Mr. Anastasiadis to sign the Guterres framework as the framework of the agreement.
And he refused.
He refused.
That's facts. That's
facts. And as civil society, with our civil society hats, I mean these bi-communal groups who kept coming together, we have said that why not exercise that we prepare this strategic framework agreement. And then we reinvented the wheel again, and we have seen that it is almost there. Okay, there are outstanding issues that need to be addressed, but it's not up to the lay people. It would be the
decisions of the highest.
The 5+ conference would be at the level of the prime ministers, presidents, to come there and finalize. For example, in territory, it's only a 1% difference between two sides, and it is not the job of Kyrιακο and Μελτέμ to have a pencil and try to cover the remaining 1%. It will
decisions
be up to
on the level
decision
of the
makers.
tops.
Yeah. It's natural, this. And then we have said, okay, the problem is not about the substance, about the essence of the agreement. Agreement is there. As Mr. Guterres said, that what is missing is political will. So why we don't have political will, or why we have only one leader one time, and the other time it's another from the other side, the leader. But we need two leaderships plus support from the communities. Otherwise, it's so easy and vulnerable, these leader-led processes, that the one or the other leader would start to calculate the elections, next elections, and if they don't have the sense of urgency as well, they would not take the last mile, or there are certain vulnerabilities. So we now, on Tuesday, we are going to launch the process redesign activity to reflect on what sort of new process that would be different, would be possible. And we are going to discuss about the roadmap to reach this BBF, the agreement, if we mean it, of course. And if not, it would allow us to discuss other options as well. We are not closed and like adamant. This is like a fantasy.
You mean this exercise might facilitate a process in which we can prepare better, as we have a better prepared and informed societies?
Yes.
And then wait for leaders?
No.
Or push leaders?
No. We need to find other ways, because as even Ms. Olguin said, that she urged leaders to listen to their civil society, but our point is more than this, not to beg the leaders, but to put pressure to change these process modalities. I mean, if a demand comes from the majorities of the both sides, plus UN, plus EU, plus the international stakeholders, why not? Of course, the Cypriots should agree on changing the modalities. It's not up to the UN itself, or it's not up to the EU to change this leader-led, already agreed process dynamics. But it's not coming from the God as a Bible or as a Quran from Allah. It can change, of course, the processes if the parties of the problem, of the conflict, agrees on another process.
Do you expect that you can create a new dynamism through these processes?
I think that the process, new process, would be an incentive to bring two sides closer, because at the moment there is no ground. We should accept this. I mean, when Mr. Tatar and Turkey are saying that we changed the track and we are demanding two-state, and the other side are kept saying that, no, we want to resume the talks from where we left and this time finish it. And then the Turkey Cypriot and Turkey are asking what has changed. Then this time you are going to finish. Even the people are saying, Mr. Christodoulidis, he was also in Krand Mondana, and the perception is that he was not the one who was pushing for a settlement in there. So what has changed? And the answer to what has changed would be this roadmap. I mean, a new or updated peace process. This would persuade the both sides, I mean, to meet at the middle way.
We still need someone to adopt these processes.
Yes.
And of course, it's about people, whether they will provide their support, personalities, veterans, teachers, doctors,
yes,
business people, this kind of stuff. So we have homework, if we mean it. And I'm saying in plural because I do believe that if you want to design your future, you have to be engaged on that.
Exactly, exactly.
Otherwise,
it's not only for Kyrιακο or Mελτέμ or somebody else. We should join our forces.
Yeah.
And there
But
are a lot of
secondly,
initiatives that they are focusing on.
what should
this
be
area.
the role of UN and the European Union on that prospect
Yes.
of creating the framework?
Yes, first of all, this creating this framework and also the roadmap, if they also see support coming from the civil society and coming that ordinary people or the majorities would find it feasible and they can accept it, then the UN role will start from there, behind the doors. They can reach out to the leaders, they can have these closed-door meetings with them.
Then they can exercise their diplomacy.
Similarly, the EU would do the, yes, diplomacy.
Diplomacy.
Yeah, at the front page or the behind the doors, I don't know, because then it works like this.
Yeah.
And they will start to negotiate about it and come to a consensus somewhere, to compromise both sides or all sides, and find a way, which is always possible, that it's workable for all. And it's good for all. And it's also acceptable for all. And you know that this, I have mentioned this transparency, but also involvement of civil society or political parties or women groups like in Northern Ireland. In Northern Ireland, the process allowed political parties plus women coalition. That's why we have initiated
also the women
also Cyprus
element.
Women by Communal Coalition very recently.
Yeah.
I am the coordinator together with Erado Kozakkumarkulli, 15 founders, founder women from diverse political backgrounds, we have come together and initiated such a coalition as well in order to put pressure and also play the role of informing and educating and create awareness from the women track as well. It would help.
Mελτέμ, I do understand what you are having in mind, and we will have very soon announcements in relation with these people-driven efforts.
Yes.
Okay. One question which comes to my mind is the following. How do we make people focus again on the solution of the Cyprus problem and the challenge of having a united island instead of moving towards permanent division, when all these people are focused in daily issues? You know, we have a lot of problems with electricity bills, we have inflation, we have serious problems in the north. We know that the society is thinking differently because of the daily challenges they have. So how do we get their attention?
Exactly. In order to be able to get their attention, we need something new and a joint message to be given to them. Something.
It has to be a joint message, you said.
It should be a novelty, not the same stuff. That's why it's crucially important to propose or to recommend maybe not only one proposal for an updated peace process, but also could be more than one. This would grasp their interest because they would again start to say, maybe this time would happen. Because they are proposing, they are suggesting new elements that were missing so far up to now. So this is important, and this time should be time framed, not very give it open-ended and have another 60 years for negotiations and so on. I know that it's not difficult to agree on the wordings, because we have also tried to draft a joint letter for Ms. Olguin with all these Cyprus problem veterans plus, let me say. But at the end, we managed to draft a joint declaration together with Cyprus Peace and Dialogue Center and Απόφαση Ειρήνη. Απόφαση Ειρήνη in English is Determination for Peace, and they are pro-solution federalist people from diverse political parties. I mean, mainly from DC and AKEL, but there are some federalists from other political parties as well. They have come together with us, and we try to draft a common declaration, because otherwise, even between us, there would be no common ground or common understanding. And it would be a catastrophic when Ms. Olguin would come, what we were going to tell her. And we managed to insert an operative paragraph in this joint declaration. You can find it at the Cyprus Peace and Dialogue Center's website. I can send it to you as well, the link. But it is reachable. And in there, we say that this time must be different. This time, we couldn't manage to agree on the wording of time framed, but instead, we put phased. Phased.
Okay. It has to be phased. Okay, I understand the technicalities of terminologies we have in these draftings. I have a final question for you, Mελτέμ, because we have a very good discussion how people can be motivated again in order to check whether they can have a common future. Do you consider the fact that Cyprus is a member of the European Union as still being a positive factor to search for a common outcome, for a joint outcome, or you think that it plays a negative role?
Well, here it is the responsibility of the EU. Okay, we admit and we acknowledge that it's not easy for the EU, because Republic of Cyprus is the member of the EU on the name of the whole island, but the half of it or the north is out of the control of the EU, and the acquis is suspended, etc. But it was a great fatal mistake that immediately after Krand Mοντάνα, the EU, with the request for, most probably with the request from the Republic of Cyprus, they stopped the EU ad hoc committee that was the harmonizing the North to the EU standards and EU acquis and the North institutions, etc. There was a contact and cooperation and communication between the two sides, authorities plus EU, and having this was would definitely keep the Turkish Cypriots and the North closer to the EU, and this should be the aim for me, but they immediately stopped it after that, and they left the Turkish Cypriot community and the North out of the all these progress and developments whatsoever. This is not helpful for a future settlement agreement, because we should have started yesterday, but it's never too late. And this is another signal that make the Turkish Cypriots to think that their counterparts, they don't mean business, because if they mean business, they would have preferred...
You mean they prefer to push Turkish Cypriots away from the European Union?
European ideals, European standards, maybe to make them closer in every walk of life. I mean, could be about the wealth, about the education, about everything. But now it is not the case, and there are serious human rights violations. because of the Cyprus problem, that they targeted directly even the kids. My daughter, for example, Kyrιακο, from the 15 years old onwards, now she is 18, she was asking me why she couldn't order a book from Amazon. And I was trying to tell her that because of Cyprus problem, and she was telling it's not my fault. It's not my fault, Mama. Why we don't have an address, for example, and vice versa, we can increase. And similarly, the Greek Cypriots face daily basis. Not only Greek Cypriots, Maronites, everybody, because of Cyprus problem. Okay, you suspended the acquis, EU acquis in the north, but you cannot suspend the human rights, basic human rights of the kids, youth, women, ordinary people, and us for another 60 years.
For me personally, it's a very big question why we do not have Turkish Cypriot kids participating, for example, in Erasmus projects.
Exactly.
Why we don't have giving this opportunity to the young generation to be benefit and get together in a broader framework like the European one. That's the question for politicians.
And the language.
The language is 100 other examples of what we could have done all these years. We're talking about 20 years since the time of the accession. Dear Mελτέμ, I would like to thank you very much for this discussion. I do believe that our audience will be very much interested to understand your thinking, the Turkish Cypriot thinking, and I do believe that you are representing the genuine feeling of people living in the other side of the divide. Thank you very much for this discussion.
Thank you very much. This is what needed, so I congratulate you. This is what we need to hear about each other's perspectives and way of looking to the issues.
Yeah, you're talking like a teacher now.
And have a joint messages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Γεια σας φίλοι μου. Γεια σας.